or grant cycles go by. Okay. So I think you guys all know me. I'm Gail with the Bureau, the program specialist, and primarily my job is this, to help you guys do this. We will record this webinar, so and get it uploaded into our YouTube, and the link will be on our idahoems.org website so that you can go back and reference it. Of course, I'm always available if you just want to shoot me an email with questions. Let's see, there is another one scheduled for August 12th in the afternoon, the same time. If you would also put your name and agency in the chat box, that will assist me making sure that I've dotted I's, crossed T's. Not that attendance is mandatory, but this will help me follow up with you guys if need be. Okay. That's about all that I have. Any questions before we start going through the presentation?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, this is just a very quick overview. I know this is, the grant process is so huge. I thought this might be helpful so that you knew that sometimes I can assist you and other times I'm going to have to send you to somebody else. So the grant, before you get your contract, it's going to, and your payment, it's going to touch the Bureau, it's going to touch the division, it's going to touch the department. So the Division of Public Health, the department, and the Department of Health and Welfare, and then even outside agencies, because your payments come from SCO, the State Controller's Office. So anytime along the process, if I'm not able to help, I might have to send you out on the little raft on your own. I'm not going to be much help. And that happens few and far between, but just FYI. So the division is, they will be the one who signs your subgrant to finalize it. And then the department is where our contracts unit lives, and we deal with the on the department level with the contracts unit, and then also fiscal for payment. And then, as I mentioned, the State Controller Office is for payment. Once we lay it on their throne and say, please accept this and please pay the money, that's the State Controller's Office. Okay. So, and then I just wanted to briefly go over the timeline. So, and the responsibilities. So the close of application through August, we receive and review the application multiple times. We have to pull reports to enter additional data and cross-reference the stuff that you have entered. And we also send out to SCORE. We have to do risk assessments to our division because they are the ones who make the determination on how we're going to monitor the grant. We have to draft and approve the subgrant documents. Then our leadership has to review the documents. And then this is new, the post-award webinar, just to give you guys an overview of the process so you're not left in the dark. Once we submit those risk assessments, it can take a couple weeks. We get those back, and that allows us to write our subgrant document drafts and then get those submitted to contracts for their review. Once they take our drafts and, you know, they add some additional things to it to, you know, the legalese stuff, they submit that back to us for our review, which is Jathan's review. And then once we approve that, they will send it to you. Now that's, and then I'm kind of out of it. What's supposed to happen with that, the contracts, they go look in the State Controller's Office and find out who is the main contact for your agency. For some of you who roll up into counties or cities, they might have a different contact. So that person will be contacted, and you will be contacted via email from our contracts unit, and I should be copied on it. And basically it's just going to say, hey, here's your subgrant, please review it. And they'll have your subgrant a number assigned to it. So last year when I went through this, it became a little confusing because I was just like, oh, here's the grant that John had, but they're trying to send it to Betty. And I was just like, what? You know, no, who's Betty? That is again outside of the bureau, outside of the department, outside of the division. It's in SCO, it's SCO's system, and that's just how they have it set up. So should you see that email come by and you don't know Betty, and she's probably like, WTF to you, you can just let them know, you know, you won an award, and it is the division's practice or department's practice that somewhere along the line, whoever is copied was noted as the main point of contact from the state controller's office. Okay, clear as mud on that? Okay,
Yes.
okay, great. So then what you're going to want to do when you get that sub-grant review, we're going to make sure that check your agency name, the address, and the amount and the dates. You can look through all the other stuff, but that's one thing where we're looking for the extra set of eyes to make sure, because once you sign that back, you signed it and return it, it's a contract. And if we made a mistake on a date or the name or address, we have to go through, we being you and I, will have to go through like basically killing that contract and going through the process all over again. So please make sure to review that. Let's see, what's next? Okay, so this is your responsibilities. Sign and return that sub-grant draft that you received from contracts unit. This might be new to some of you if you have received multiple awards, but you will need to secure a post-award quote from your vendor with signatures. So the organization you're getting the equipment or the vehicle from will need to submit a new quote, sign it. You have to sign it, send it to me, and this is way I know that we're all on the same page. That can be a little cumbersome. Why do we have to do that? I just say that it's integrity in our processes. We want to make sure that we can connect the dots for an auditor down the line. Yes, see, they asked for this type of cot, and it was this much on their application, and indeed, this is what they're going after. They've got a post-award quote, it matches up, and everyone's on the same page. The one where I can offer some leniency on this, I don't mind if you resubmit the quote that you had with the application. I would just ask what you do is that you send that quote, scan it in, send it to your salesperson and say, hey, Joe, is this all good? Joe looks at it. He sends it back. Yep, I'm good. And then you can forward that email with the attached quote saying, hey, Gail, here's the post-award quote with the disbursement form. We need to make sure that we have the post-award quote attached to the disbursement form, okay? Also, I don't know if you guys see here, you place the order for equipment after the receipt of your fully executed sub-grant. We ran into a few issues last grant cycle where people, when they got the award letter, they thought that was their permission to order the equipment. And the way the sub-grant terms is written, and because we started dispersing some federal dollars last year, it was all learning experience for all of us, that can't happen. The award letter is just a notification. It's not a legally binding document. So make sure you place your equipment after the receipt of your fully executed document, and then submit the disbursement form to the Bureau for payment. In the past, we would just draft up invoices, send them to you, and have you sign them and send them back to us. But that was something that our compliance department was not comfortable with, and so they've asked us to not do that anymore. So you are in charge of submitting the disbursement form. which I think if I can get this to advance. Whoops. Paused. There we go. Just got tied up. Okay. Timeline, post you getting your fund payment to 2030. Yes, we have an agreement that goes until 2030. It's a little confusing because we close out the grant at the end of your term date, which is going to be May 31st, 2026. But we still need to do receipt and availability of funds documentation, quarterly check-ins, inspection, and inventory. I'll get more into that as we go along. Okay, so that's pretty much a bird's eye view on the timeline, August to October, and then payment through the end of our security interest. Any questions on that? Okay. Here is what your subgrant is going to look like. And if you see all the red, those are the things that you're going to be checking. This is split up into 2 screens. So that's one big piece of paper. And what you're going to want to do is over to the right hand is where you're going to want to sign it. So you're going to sign and after you review it, sign and return the subgrant that you received from contracts, and you're going to return that to the person who sent it to you. There are 6 to 8 different contract officers, and I have, because I submit all of the grants at the same time, usually it's not just one person. So Cami, you might get Cassandra, Lainey, you might get Pat. There's several of them, but the important thing is to send it back to whoever sent it to you. If you copied me on it, that's great. It's not a major faux pas if you don't. Again, here I just have the reminder that you want to place the order for your equipment because you have a fully executed subgrant and you are good to go. And also, hopefully at this time, while you're waiting for your subgrant, I would begin working on getting that post-award quote so that as soon as you get that subgrant, fully executed a subgrant, you can give them the green light, you can fill out the disbursement form, you send it to me and the post-award quote, and we get the money out the door. Okay, so the disbursement requirements, here's the instructions, and you don't need to write these down. They will be, once I finish this, I will show you where these forms are. I also have, my best intentions are that I will send you a packet of post-award documents for you to have at your fingertips, and you can always email me and I can shoot them off to you. But these are the things that you need to include on the disbursement request. So the post-award quote, which I've probably beat to death. It's just very important. The date, you need to have a date on the form. And think of disbursement form as an invoice. You're invoicing us. We just use disbursement because the state of Idaho has rules or regulations or laws where we are not allowed to pay for something unless we have already received the services or they have or the subgrantee has expended funds. So we make an exception. The department has made an exception with the EMS awards because we figure you are applying for these grant awards because you probably don't have the money in the bank. If you did, you just buy it. So we want to just clear and cut dry. Like, it's not an invoice, it's a disbursement form. Just semantics there. It needs to have the subgrant contract number, which I showed you on. It will be on that cover sheet. And then you need to have a unique number to identify it. Think invoice number. And my suggestion is that you just use an acronym for your agency and add the subgrant's 4 digits. The reason being is, should we lose a check in the system and you guys don't get it, you can imagine on the state level how many vendors submit an invoice that's 001. So we want to make it very unique. So if we have to go in and search, so we have to stop a payment, that it just pulls up hopefully just one, not who know hundreds of them for us to go through and try to figure out which one is you. It's just, it's trying to be a good team member with the state controller's office. The start and end date of your sub-grant term, a description that matches your application and award letter for each purchase. So vehicle, ambulance, radio, communications, very broad. It doesn't need to be the X100 Pro Series, just what is a piece of equipment? Is it a vehicle? What kind of vehicle is it? And then the subtotals for each, the total amount requested needs to be printed on an agency letterhead. And that also needs to include an address which matches what was on your award letter. Needs to be signed with a title, date, and printed name. So you guys can do that yourself, or we provide this template for you. So all you would have to do is pretty much has everything that I just went over there. And as this is a snip, but as you hover over these, when you go, it will tell you, use your agency. This is where you can find this so that you can fill it out. And then it is formatted for letterhead to be at the top, but I trust that you guys can probably maneuver if you have it on the bottom or whatever the case may be. So there is that. Okay, monitoring. Any questions there? Okay, good deal. So the enhanced monitoring that is required because we are dispersing these funds up ahead before you guys are incurring expense or providing a service is, and I've kind of briefly gone over it, is that we need to document that the funds have been deposited and that they are held until payment for the equipment or vehicle is made. And then quarterly for those like vehicles or equipment that is going to take longer, we will just want to check just so that we know that you and I haven't gone off to Hawaii on these funds. We're just going to want to check and get a new bank statement to show that the funds are still there. And then you can just provide me an update of when the last you heard that you'll be getting the vehicle or piece of equipment. And then this is something that contracts add, provide any pertinent documents or records related upon funds request. And honestly, I can't think what that would be. But that's just something that they have us place in there. Upon the receipt of your equipment or vehicle, this is another form that you need to complete. It is the accounting form. Think of it as a cover sheet to wrap up your grant. You will need to prove that you expended the funds. So, and we're going to want to cross-reference that with an invoice. So you will have your invoice from the vendor that includes all of those things, proof of payment, and there's 3 options. You can send me a copy of the process check back and front so I can see the endorsement. You can just send me the bank statement so that I can see the amount went out that matches the invoice, or a vendor statement you can send to me. And that's all attachments to this one document. As you can see, I don't know, can you see my arrow? Yeah, you sure can. So then you want to fill out your agency name here and your sub-grant number. Same thing like with your disbursement form. A quick abbreviation or description of what it is: radios, cot, vehicle, the serial number or the VIN number, how much the award was, how much your invoice was, how much you're returning. Believe it or not, some people return, we have to, even if it's cents, we need to get it back. So do your best to spend it all because it becomes, we have also we have an obligation to make sure that we spend the $1.7 million on an annual basis. If, let's just say you were delayed, perfect example, not that this would happen with a vehicle, but you got the 208 and it came in at whatever, 190. And so I have extra $18,000 left from 2 years ago. I can't spend it out because I'm no longer in the grant year where I'm allowed to. So, say, you know, so if you're going to return, if you can't spend it out, return it sooner rather than later so that I can go down the list and start awarding people who didn't get awards based on their scores. You're going to want to sign it and date it here. And then I just combined this with, for agencies who are getting a vehicle and replacing one, this will replace the vehicle replacement form. I'm not quite sure why we do this, but we do keep track of the vehicle years, makes and models that are replaced, the VIN, and whether you keep it in your possession for training, donating, sell it, and then what the narrative is. If just disregard if your award is not a vehicle. And on the bottom of the form, it has how to get that to me. And that pretty much wraps up your grant. There's just a few little outliers, as I mentioned earlier. So the grant closeout letter is just a way that we dot the I's and cross the T's. And pretty much it's like, hey, our records show that you got your vehicle, the funds have been accounted for, everything looks good. We are no longer responsible for any other funds. This is your last chance to speak up and say, that's not what my records reflect. An example would be if you have a piece of equipment that's multi pieces, and I had an example with one agency who, I think it was a cot that came in several different pieces, and they were very aggressive on their accounting form. So piece one came in at 50% of the grant award. So she sent me the accounting form and the proof that she paid it. And then, piece two came in, and then she sent that part. So let's just say their award was 40,000, and it was, we cut them the check for 40,000, and then they submitted an accounting form 3 times that totaled the 40,000. If by chance you get in that kind of situation where your equipment or vehicle is arriving in pieces like that, and it's not wrapped up by the time your subgrant term ends, we can extend that through an amendment. So that's just basically, these things kind of fall through the cracks. This is the department's last effort to say, hey, we think we're done. Please let us know if we're not, Also, the department maintains a 5-year security interest. I think people who have agencies who have, yes, Greg, yes, it's a part of your annual inspection. So the department maintains a 5-year security interest on vehicles, which I think many people are aware of. We also maintain a security interest on the equipment as well. Now, the equipment doesn't come, with titling or anything like that. So in essence, you could get something and then go sell it on eBay, but just as a warning or as a reminder, we do want you to hold on to it for 5 years before you transfer or sell it. And how we monitor that is at those yearly inspections, and we do that on a biannual basis. And at that time, we with that accounting form that I showed you, that's what, with the serial numbers here, that's what we just verified, that those are still there and that you still have it. And that's pretty much it. Communication, it's always best to use the EMS grants at dhw.idaho.gov because that is dedicated for just grant stuff. You're more than welcome to CC me, my personal email, the Gail, or just use it. I don't ignore you. It's just like, if I should get hit by a bus, people are not going to be able to get in my email, but they can get into the EMS grants email. So if something's awry, we'll want to make sure that we can find it there. Using your grant year, agency name, and subgrant number is huge. Because of the federal dollars that we received, we had 1, 2, 3, we had 4 extra grants in the last 2 years. So for the next 5 years, on a day-to-day basis, there's 150 grants that I could be communicating about. So that would be hugely helpful if you just let me know the grant year, agency name, and subgrant number, because I can easily access your file with any one of those pieces of information and make sure we're talking about the same one, especially because some agencies are apply on an annual basis. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Please remember that one agency point of contact is appreciated, although I do appreciate being kept up to date with monitoring items that are late. So I don't need to be copied on communications within your internal, or if you send someone to me and I'm used to talking to Greg and I really don't know who Susie is, it's a little difficult to manage that with so many different grants. Also, this is another thing that compliance brought up to me, and I had this scenario with our last ARPA, is that there were staffing changes that weren't communicated to me. So I had multiple grants that exceeded $200,000 and I couldn't find a person to get the disbursement form. So I was sitting on that money. And that's a huge monitoring thing. I need to know staffing changes, or if there's additional contacts that you would like me to talk with, because your job was just submitting the grant. I'm fine with doing that. Just send those in writing so we can document it. And if I have people helping me, they know who the last contact is. And that's pretty much it. And I was just going to show you where the resources is, but I'm happy to see if I can check the chat real quick. Is the inspection done? Yes, it's part of the annual EMS vehicle inspection. Yes. Can our city create an invoice in their system? Yes. I hope I answered that. Yes, you can do that as long as you have that information. And if there's any way, like if they're using software that says invoice, I would say like in the body of it, say whether in the email or on the form, see below our disbursement request, just so that we keep it kind of clean. I can't tell you guys, I don't know how many of you on here received awards for the EMSAVE last year, the FY24 EMSAVE award, but the disbursement invoice funds ahead of time, it was such a cluster. We had, well, I think many people know that we have a new attorney general. We had a new district, our new DAG, so the district, no, deputy attorney general over, he was new to it. We had Dave Jepson go out and Dean Cameron come in, and it was just like, no one wanted to sign off, even though we'd been doing this for years, so we could continue to do it. So I feel also, because we've had federal dollars, that there's just an extra level of scrutiny, which I get it, I understand why that might be the case. So we just want to make sure that we do that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, that clears the chat. Does anyone have any questions before I go out to the website just to show you where you can find these forms? Nope. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure. Sometimes yeah, okay, perfect. It works. Sometimes when I go to idahoems.org, it does not work. And I just want to make sure it does work before I show you guys. Well, now my personal laptop's not sharing. Okay, so I'm going to do it here on a work laptop. Share screen. Okay, so if you go to idahoems.org, you come here to EMS agencies, and then you scroll about halfway down to here, additional EMS information, grant resources. This has you know, our different awards and applications. As you can see, this needs to be updated. But if you scroll all the way down here, your post-award documents will be here. You don't see the disbursement form here yet because I'm just drafting it and I'm updating all of these. And that's pretty much all that I got for you. Any other questions? Can I send you the PowerPoint? Any other follow-up that you would like? Oh, right. Greg, yes. Would you like me to send that to you? I can do that.
Can you send it to Cami at Power County as well, too?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys? Is it clear as mud? It's a lot, but I'm really trying to like being tasked with extra, being the fortunate one to have the enhanced monitoring and extra scrutiny, I welcome. But in doing it, I'm realizing there's a lot of redundancy, and I'm hoping through a cycle or two that we can streamline and it will not be burdensome, so burdensome that you go like, I don't know if I really want to apply. Hopefully we can get it done with just super quick calls like, hey, send me the bank statement, or especially with equipment. You know, if you're getting your equipment within 3 to 6 months, hopefully it's just that disbursement form and then the accounting form and the grant closeout, and we're kind of dead. Okay, so Keisha, Greg, Cami, Vicki, Doug for PowerPoint. If you want a PowerPoint, anyone else? Okay, great. And that PowerPoint has both the office phone and my cell phone. Feel free to call either one. I have my desk phone always forward to my cell phone, even when I'm in the office, so I don't ever forget it. But if you use the cell number, I'm happy to take a text or whatever. And John wants the PowerPoint too. Okay. So yeah, just reach out anytime. Sometimes I feel like we can accomplish a lot more on the phone super quickly as opposed to emails back and forth. With that, I'm going to give you your afternoon back.
Can we have do you mind staying on with us for just a minute?
Yep, I can hang out. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
There's a few people still.
Yeah.
So you could clear up a little bit of confusion for us.
Yeah.
We applied for a gurney kit,
Mm-hmm.
power gurney, so we had applied for $19,000 and our awards for $38,000. And so we're scratching our head just a bit about, did we do something wrong or was there a miscommunication?
So my apologies if I didn't reach out to you. I think just because I believe there was only one instance. Did you request a priority 1 and a priority 2?
I think so, yes.
Yes. So our grant rules allow you to request multiple similar items on one priority. You can't say, I want a cot and I want an AED on one priority, but 2 cots can be collapsed into one.
Okay.
So when Cara, I don't know if you worked with Cara Wells, but when Cara trained me on FY24 in the data entry part, she's no longer with the department. I had that same scenario. Someone requested, I think it was a laptop. Laptop 1 I want in the office, laptop 2 I'd like in the vehicle. And she said, we collapse like items into one because clearly there is a need. So that's what I did, just based on the instruction. And then when eligibility review and other review was done by my superiors, I said, this is what I've done because this was the practice that I was told that we do. And they said, absolutely.
Oh, excellent.
So that's why you got the 38.
It was our wish list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm glad it worked out for you.
Well,
And then
because
too.
frankly,
Go ahead.
last year was my first year as fire chief and I missed the deadline.
Oh,
And so I was like, dang it.
yeah.
So it's going to work out okay. All right, super.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then just FYI, because this is a learning curve for me as well. So the way we do it, so vehicles compete against vehicles, priority 1s compete against priority 1s, priority 2s, and so on. So, in the past, the requests have been pretty much all priority 1s get funded. But this year, there were 1 to 3 that didn't get funded. So where was I going with that for you?
Well, it sounds like they banded it so that they made sure some priority 2s got funded.
Yeah. So, well, it's just, and it's the amount of the requests. So that's what you just want to keep that in mind, that there's no need, if you have I will tell you, I had one agency that requested almost, here's the thing, a lot more than 2 cots
Sure.
on one. So,
Yeah,
so
you
you just want to be aware of that.
Like you could want to do your whole, I mean, we've got a fleet of 7.
Yeah.
And just 1 a year, 1 a year, 1 a year. And this
Yeah.
will finish because I missed last year.
Yeah.
Get us back on
Well-
schedule with having them all of them replaced. And then we've got no back injury gurneys out there.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good
Well, I'm really glad that worked out for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Next
had
year will be
another.
ventilators though.
Huh?
Next year
Next year
will be
with the-
ventilators.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah. As
tried-
long as they're the same.
Yeah,
it's-
I
you
tried to
can-
get ventilators from fentanyl money. And the
Oh.
fentanyl money is so tightly focused on prevention and law enforcement and drug courts. You can't get a ventilator from fentanyl money. And I'm like, it makes people stop breathing. We need ventilators when people have overdosed on that drug.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Me and the police chief have been scratching our heads about how we're getting all these, millions and millions and millions of dollars into our state, and neither one of us can use it. So we're kind of scratching our head about that. It's like the ARPA funds, It's amazing what was ARPA related.
Yeah. Well, we got ARPA and it was for vehicles only. And I wasn't here when they said they gave us a one-time disbursement that was split up into 2 years. So I wasn't a part of that. I just knew that we had this much money for vehicles. And I don't know how we got it. I don't know. I don't know how they tie that to coat, but yeah. Just, you're not alone. I scratch my head too. They're like,
But our
Not sure about
county's
that.
building a new county courthouse complex, so, you know,
Yeah.
I guess we got that going for it. They
Very
told me no on
good.
the ventilator stuff.
Oh,
What
the
I need to
truth,
do is I need to
right?
make a county commissioner bag a mannequin for 30 minutes.
There you go.
Say, wouldn't it be nice if you had a ventilator?